New year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Tactics Pod. We're going to talk about United 3, Burnley 2. Maybe a little bit about the Grimsby game with Dharnish and Daniel. How's it going, chaps?
All right. How are you?
Good.
All right. Dharnish is wearing his sky blue city-coloured top. I don't know whether that's acceptable, Dharnish.
The first hoodie I pulled out from the drawer.
Oh no, it's winter.
I don't have a Man United hoodie. I've got top that says Martinez the Butcher on it, but like his face has kind of disappeared. I wear it to the gym sometimes, and it's like...
Is that like because he's injured? Like in Back to the Future?
It's it. He's no longer here. His career has disappeared.
And as soon as he extricates himself from his mum trying to fuck him, he will reappear.
Wow.
Jesus, wow. That is some exclusive gossip here.
No,
Lissandro Martinez is fucking his mum, according to Daniel.
How did that,
It's the family themes in Back to the Future.
I know.
Alcoholism, incest.
This is why I don't tell you about my life, Daniel, because you'll go this way about it.
All right. Let's talk about United's performance against Burnley. I think the one of the really notable things was just how direct United were in this game. Been quite a lot of good analysis on that already. I mean, it created a bit of chaos ball in the second half, didn't it?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I've got a question. United have spent, roughly 170 million quid this summer? Something like that, maybe a little bit more. Would we say that United spent 170 million pounds buying 4 players who potentially are all good and failed to address the major tactical weakness in the side, which is the ability to control the fucking game of football?
Yep. I would agree with that, and I think that's why they're going a bit more direct. But Dharnish, what was your assessment of Burnley, and does that stack up? I mean, United spent a lot of money, didn't buy a midfielder, don't have the right profile of midfielders for Amorim's system or what he'd want in an ideal world, or for any system. But especially if you're only playing 2 in there. So what do we see against Burnley? Does it mean anything for the future, or is that a one-off?
To answer like Daniel's, just going off the back of Daniel's question. I think the main problem in the transfer market, they've solved it today. I get that it's about controlling games, but they should have bought a goalkeeper 4 or 5 weeks ago. I said it. I don't know. I said it 7-8 weeks ago. I got laughed out of the building, teased on Twitter saying I'm an idiot and I should go back to India and all this nonsense. They should have bought a goalkeeper. That would be my main issue from the transfer window. They did it now. And in terms of controlling games, I think they do to a certain degree, but then they remember how desperately they need to win. Amorim said it after the Fulham game as well. He said they stopped knowing what to do and how to play when the desperate win is in reach. Especially after the Grimsby game, you could tell when Fernandes celebrated. Like you could tell that the weight of the world was on their shoulders, and it's why the game got so chaotic second half. But I think what we're realizing is there's nothing wrong with this. By the way, I want to say there's nothing wrong with this. The second balls work well in this team. I was watching the Europa League semi-final highlights the other day, the 5-4 against Lyon. The amount of long balls they sent in that first half when they went 2-0 up after the whole comeback thing was huge. It was huge because they kept sending long balls up. Obviously, a defender competes for it, and as they knew that the defender was competing for it, they would hop on the second ball, whoever that was. So an aerial duel is always... I always go back to a quote that Diego Simeone said to Kieran Trippier. He said, when you clear the ball, make sure it goes up, because then it's hard for the opponent to control it. So that's why United are very good in second balls at the minute this season in terms of creating chances. They also have 2 players now. Well, I mean, one of them is injured, but they also have one player now in Mbeumo where he's very difficult to shrug off. And when he controls the ball really, really well in terms of in the air, that seemed to work. quite well. But also, what seems to be working quite well is this team is better in transitions now than it was last season. The first half chance where Ahmad really should have put the game to bed, I felt, that came from a transition. We saw that in pre-season. They're breaking really quickly now. 2, 3, 4 players breaking really quickly in transition. But it does seem to be the second balls and the transitions working. I just wish, like Daniel said, I wish that they could control a game for 20, 30 minutes, but they were so desperate for the win. And I'm glad that they got it. It's just, stop making the game so chaotic because of how desperate you are for the win. I want it to be like game week 15 where we get into a mode of knowing where we are with this team.
But is that not the worrying thing? I mean, if we're going to go quite direct because it avoids the build-up through midfield, which we're not going to be able to do this season, then teams that are better defenders with stronger defensive units who can anticipate that for second ball, win the duels. If that's United's weapon, or inexperienced players or not very good players in the winger areas, with the wingbacks, which is still a weakness, I'd say, then United's plan A and plan B are done. And we're not going to control the game enough if we've decided. I guess that's my question. Have we decided that's the pattern for the season now? Because we're good in those moments, right? But that shouldn't be plan A.
No, but then I would counteract your point by saying we just played. In the first game, we played probably, I think, the best centre-back partnership in the world and one of the best defences in the world. And it worked. It worked for a large period. Even though it was the same, it was second balls, it was going direct. When that didn't work, they were very good at controlling things in that game, particularly, even in the second half. When attacks would break down, they would win it back immediately. They just need to find a dynamic where they can get both of them back, where they can do the second balls and go back into this mode where it's like, no, we can actually control the game and take this thing out of it when we want. It's just the first 3 weeks have been so cinematic and so theatrical, and so many moments have happened already. It feels like there's just been moments of chaos because of what's become of the season. Even against Fulham, where Amorim said, look, we just played bad for 30 minutes against Fulham. Largely, look, in the first half, I want the first half of Fulham again, because I know people say, you only created a chance through Bayande going long. But even when they didn't do that in the first half against Fulham, they still had a foot on the ball. Absolutely. They controlled that first half. Even if you're not going anywhere with it, at least you're working the automatisms that Amorim wants, and you have the control of the game, because then you're setting the tempo, basically.
Is it a worry that they faded against Arsenal, Fulham and Burnley in the second half of the games, and it's become more chaotic, or we've had less control? Is that a physical thing? Are we unable to match the physicality that Amorim's system kind of requires?
Well, we don't have the physicality in midfield. With Bruno can run all day, but he's not physical. Casemiro can't run all minute, really.
Yeah.
So it's but I felt against Fulham, it didn't feel like a physical thing. It felt more like they ran out of confidence, they ran out of ideas, and those two things are obviously related. And also, you've got to remember, you're playing in the Premier League, and every team has good players. Mm-hmm. And whoever you play, almost, it's very unlikely that you're going to put them on the rack in minute 1 and keep them there until minute 90 plus whatever. And so, which isn't to say that I think the basketball nature of the Burnley game was good. It wasn't. And they do need to find a way of making it not like that. But I don't think we're seeing physical drop-offs particularly. And it's something that as the squad gets built, we're going to see less of, because we'll have better options to replace. And if you see teams are allowed so many changes now that it makes sense to have loads of options, particularly in the more physical positions. And I think when I look at it, my fears now, we sort of know what this season's squad's going to be, my tactical fears. So aside from the lack of control that we're going to have in midfield in almost every game, because we don't have those kinds of players, when I look at the way that Amorim wants to play, the other problem I have is we don't really have good enough wing-backs. So Ahmad at least can beat a man on one side. We don't have anyone who can go one-on-one really back to go past someone on the left-hand side. And we don't have adequate replacements for either. If we say that Ahmad and Dorgu probably long-term likely to be the starters, or their replacements are not good.
Yeah, we don't know how good Diego Leon will or will not be yet, but there is no other replacement. Basically, it's Dallo on the left who will invert,
Is-
but offers very little from that position, and apparently can't defend either because he got nowhere near the ball.
He did assist the goal, but
This is the goal, and it was
But he's
his
such
one
a-
good moment.
he's such a place. I don't know if you guys ever played FIFA or whatever, but he's such a. You know when you get the
much.
ball in FIFA and you've already pressed the button but before the ball comes and it sort of goes the wrong way. That feels like what Dallo is a lot. It's like no, don't. What are you doing? But it's odd because he gets into the right against Fulham as well when he came on. He gets into really good situations. So I'm like, why doesn't the other fullback do that instead? I'd like my other fullback to be where Dallo is because I know what's going to happen when Dallo crosses it. Might as well just not even compete. And Buemo just might.
Dallo's going to play a lot of football this season. He is. I mean, him and Dorgu and Ahmad really are our only three choices in those wing-back areas. They're all going to play a lot of football. It's very integral to Amorim's system to get those players high up the pitch, combining with the 210s to create overloads. We know that's that. So, that's plan A. Plan B is up, back and through, direct into Tedesco to hold it up and bring other players in. They both work fine, but I don't see much central midfield control there, and there's no combination of those central midfielders that will give us that control, is there? I mean, we might actually, as a result, look better against some of the better teams than we do against the crap teams because we can play a bit more transitionally, yeah.
And yet we should have enough goals in us to beat most of the crap teams.
I hope so.
I don't
You'd hope so.
I don't see a problem with. I mean, we played Arsenal, Fulham, and Burnley, which I think is basically the top of the league, the middle of the league, and the end of the league, the bottom of the league. I think I don't have a problem with controlling the ball against the bigger teams or against Arsenal. Maybe that's a bad example because Arteta's the most timid manager ever in those games. But
oh my God, I don't normally like Barney Roney's columns. Really, I think it's not really my style of writing. But he called it Starmer Ball, which was perfect. Starmer Ball. Starmer Ball. Yeah.
I mean, ultimately,
vanilla stuff from Arsenal, but yeah, it will be like that. That's just him.
Little Mickey's got little trousers for a reason.
He does indeed. All right. So where does that leave us, Daniel?
How do we go about, with the players that we now know what we're dealing with, how do we go about moving the ball forwards through the middle of the pitch with the players that we have? Is that possible?
I mean, I think it is. Yeah. If you sacrifice some defensive cover and brought Kobe Mainu into the side, you get a linker there, and he plays a little deeper than perhaps we'd like him to play. But he's the person who can transition the ball from defence into attack. Otherwise, you have a little bit hero ball, don't you, with Fernandes and Casemiro in there. I mean, Fernandes upped his, if you notice, look at the data, he's upped his pass completion rate because he's taking fewer risks with it. A little bit of the role he has to play. But I don't see any combination of Fernandes and Casemiro that's going to work long-term in the Premier League, clearly, right? They just don't have the physicality for it. Ugarte, we know all his weaknesses, and he's not showing his strengths. So that's it. That's the option. He won't try Mount at 8, basically. He's only ever going to be a 10, so we have 4 options in central midfield. So I don't know. Dharnish, can you see a way that we could play that would make sense in there?
I mean, it's hard to really put my finger on it because I get that there's issues there, but I feel as though, and I'll put this question to Daniel as well and yourself. They've started with Fernandes and Casemiro in all 3 games. I've seen worse opening 3 games from a Man United team. Would you say have we played badly in those 3 games? I don't know.
So I tell you what I hated. I hated the second half against Fulham.
Sure, but that's one second half.
No. I haven't hated what I've seen, all of it. I wonder that actually, on the subject of the midfield, and I feel almost stupid for saying this because it will never happen, but part of me would actually prefer to see Cunha playing deeper and Bruno playing in front of him because Cunha at least has the physicality, can carry the ball. It won't happen, but if you then... So yeah, Cunha +1, then Bruno, then Bumo. I wonder if that might give us slightly better balance. But otherwise, I agree that... And if they had given Amorim even a slightly incompetent goalkeeper to start with, there'd be no aggravation. We wouldn't have lost to Grimsby, we wouldn't have lost to Arsenal, and no one would be talking about how shit it is, whether he should be fired. It just wouldn't have happened. Aside from anything tactical, because what we've seen on the pitch hasn't been that bad. I felt really dispirited after Fulham because I felt like after that game, it felt like, oh gosh, this is going to be another one of these seasons where it's good until it isn't. Like, I've just seen a version of that game so many times where United start off playing quite well, they may or they may not score, then something happens, they get discouraged and they haven't got a clue what to do afterwards. And that Fulham game felt so much like that. Obviously, then we go and play Grimsby and we see something even worse. But then they did start really well against Burnley. And this is one of the things that we used to do under Fergie, particularly the 93-94, that team and the treble team, is they would blow teams away in the first 15, 20 minutes. And then even the 07-08 team, Ronaldo would score after the first 20 minutes, and then he'd score again around about an hour, and he'd win 2-0. And the starts in the post-Fergie era have been fucking terrible. Even the best team at that time, which was Ole's team, would so often have to come back from behind at half-time. Whereas the way that we started the Burnley game, that's what I want to see. I want to see fucking vicious attacking. I want to see some football with joy and aggression. And I felt like we saw that against Burnley. Obviously, things happened thereafter, but the first half an hour against Burnley, that's quite a lot of what I'd like to see.
Yeah, they were very front foot. They're very direct, stretched the game, as Amorim said. They used the ball over the top from Mbeumo extremely successfully, obviously brought one of the goals, and it's definitely a weapon. That will encourage teams to sit a little deeper because they'll realise that United do have that in the armoury. That could help us get a little more control if they're a bit less willing to try and press us.
Teams are not
they're worried about the ball over the top.
Yeah, teams are not going to want to defend on the halfway line against us with the pace we've got in behind. Yeah. And when Martinez comes back, someone who can properly pass, that level of danger goes up again. And Lammens' passing, I don't know too much about it, but Lammens' passing is apparently not bad.
It's the final chapter of the college football playoff.
It comes down to this.
Miami's unmatched grit and tenacity through the postseason has led them home. The national title now within reach.
They are confident. They are battle-tested.
Undefeated Indiana, led by Chris Signetti and Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza, have the chance to take home their first title and claim college football immortality.
The most remarkable turnaround in the history of college football.
The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning. Carol is fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A strong defense? No. A strong deodorant? Yes. A six-pack of abs? Nope. Six-pack of beer? Yes. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol 21 plus and in select cities. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Just competent enough. I think at this stage we need a goalkeeper who can use his hands. Yeah. We'll see with this one. It's a live debate, I think, because no one is an expert on the Juniper Pro League amongst the United Twitter crowd. His data looks amazing. He catches 90-something% of balls. We'll see whether that is actually true because the YouTube highlights reels look a little different than that. Yeah, the eye test and the data test don't quite match up. So we'll see what happens there. It should make a bit of difference if he's just competent and everyone can just trust him to be.
That's literally it. You just need to not drop a massive bollock every time.
Yeah,
that's a massive upgrade.
Yeah. The Burnley, the Bayern Day mistake did make it, I think 4 goalkeeping errors in 4 games. It is, We are talking about, the issues with the pressing, the issues with funneling the ball through centrally, but the season would just look a lot better if Man United had taken their chances and there'd be less goalkeeping errors. I want to say something about the whole if teams get defend deeper against us as well. I think that would be a great thing for us. If teams start to defend deeper, that would mean, crucially, they'd stop marking Mount and Cunha when they drop deep. I think it's less of a problem. We have problems in midfield that might happen later on in the season. We might realise that like Bruno and Cass don't have the legs to go back and defend when attacks come with us. It's more a problem for me getting the ball to Cunha and Mount when they drop deep, because teams know how to set up against us. Grimsby did it, Fulham did it, and Burnley did it quite well to a certain degree. When Cunha and Mount drop deep, which is the 2 10s, players go with them. There's still too many players in build-up. When they finally progress it centrally, there's not that many players up with them. We're kind of relying on Diallo or Mount or someone to dribble. I think that's more of a problem than the whole, if someone comes to me and is like, oh, you've got a central midfield conundrum. I'm like, no, we've got a left 10 or right 10 not getting the ball conundrum, but that's more of a mouthful. So I think it'll be better when teams drop deeper.
So one of the advantages that we do have now when teams will drop deeper is we've got Cunha's really good shooting from 20 yards. And also, when teams defending the box against us, we still have balls to the back post for Šeško to basically outjump anyone. And that is a way of scoring that we've not had for a long time. Also, if teams drop back against us, one of the things that United haven't done well since Fergie is boxing teams in. Teams want to box themselves in. The quality attackers United have, they might be able to stop us scoring. They might get a counter. But our biggest weakness is our ability to control the game, not our ability. We're going to see this season, it won't be the ability to score, I don't think. It will be the control. And if you're handing us control, then the players that United have who can make goals happen should mean that we win the majority of those games, I would say.
One of the issues in the first few games is United's inability to flood the box. Not had a striker start in any of these games. Basically, Grimsby was Šeško. The number of shots versus the number of shots in good positions has been quite low. The ratio's not been awesome. It's not been very Amorim-like. Presumably it changes a little bit when Šeško is in the side and you really do have a point of attack, and then the challenge is for United to get enough people forward to support him quickly enough if they're going direct into him, and that will be the real key there. And touch wood, he actually works. He hasn't scored yet. Jim White wrote the first flop piece of the season, which was interesting after about 20 minutes a game.
Did he?
But
Wow. Oh, really?
It was a slightly snarky piece in the Telegraph. He is a United fan. I've got one of his books behind me here, I think.
I had somebody text me the other day saying, how awful is Šeško? I was like, dude, he's played about 5 minutes. Like, I don't...
And the difference
I will say is he looks a little bit unfit, I think, or clearly like he's been signed and he's not up to speed and he's not had a pre-season.
Yeah, he's not.
It's very... He moves like C-3PO a little bit at the minute.
Well, he's 9 foot tall, I guess, so it's quite hard to be live and ergonomic and aesthetic when you're that big. But I think the difference between him and Højlund is that he scored quite a lot of goals. Like with Højlund, I said this before, there was no tape on Højlund really you could watch and say, okay, this guy's really good. You're just taking it on him, on being told by people that knew more about him than you do. But you watch Šeško's goals for Leipzig and you're like, okay, like this guy can play. Like he's not going to turn up in the Premier League and lose the power of his shot. Might take him time to adjust, but he's always going to be fast. He's always going to be tall. He's always going to be physical. Mm-hmm. And he's always going to have a shot like a fucking field gun.
Yeah, all very true with him. Yeah, and I think it's the fitness thing that means he doesn't look very dynamic at the moment. He apparently didn't have any 90s in pre-season, so...
And can he, I think one of the questions with Šeško is, can he adjust those long limbs really quickly in the box to get shots away?
I think as well...
Box efficiency, yeah.
I think as well, when he plays regularly in the team, what will happen is he will pin defences back. So when he pins defences back as the central striker, those two centre-backs can't move anywhere. It will free up a lot of space for the other two 10s. It's nice to have these conversations and think about, well, what's going to happen in the future because there's a win. But Daniel's absolutely right in the sense that Ahmad did really well getting that penalty at the end, because I thought throughout the game he was trying to get a penalty. And you need to do that on the ref. You need to stay on them. But maybe, that penalty comes about as well because for 10 minutes they did pin Burnley back and they did start to calmly just move the ball along. I just think that they need to stick to the game plan and not get into these modes of chaos. And they might be fine because the goals actually look okay this season. And now they've got a new goalkeeper as well.
And what we also have is we have some options. For the first time, some actual quality options. I mean, obviously it depends on fitness, but if you say that the first choice midfield 2 is going to be Bruno and Casemiro realistically for the foreseeable future, then in front of them, you've got the option of Mount, you've got the option of Mbeumo, you've got the option of Cunha. And those are all different kinds of players. And it'll be interesting to see how that works, just because I think with Mount gives you good pressing, good tactical intelligence, but first choice, realistically, he's the one that's not playing, right?
Presumably when Sesko is fit, that
so.
will be the case, yeah. I mean, it just depends on if everyone's we don't know how long Cunha is out for, and Sesko presumably will get some international game time to try and get him up to full speed. So, yes, presumably Mount drops out. What does that do to the press? I did want to ask earlier. I mean, I think part of the reason why we like Sesko is he is physical and he does press, but Mount is the trigger. He's the person leading it and everyone follows him. Does that happen without him? It's proven to not be the case previously, but we've got willing pressers now in the side with Cunha, Mbeumo and Sesko.
Cunha's a good presser, and Mbeumo's a good presser. Casemiro is he's the guy deepest in the press. Bruno is not a good presser. Fernandes is not a good presser. He doesn't know when to jump and when to stay. We will lose Mount out of possession, and it'll be quite big, I think. But luckily, Cunha and Mbeumo, they played in teams where you need to listen to tactical instructions quite thoughtfully, especially in Mbeumo. It's come from Thomas Frank, who's one of the best tactically astute managers in the league. So hopefully them two, with their pressing, will make up for Mount, because normally when Mount leaves out of possession, we seem to collapse.
So how do we also, because there's the out of possession pressing from a goal kick, but there's also the pressing from play when the other team has the ball.
Yeah.
And that to me seems almost more of a problem, because the other team, they get the ball from the keeper, they've got to play their way to the other end of the pitch. You've got a lot that you can do to fuck them up, even if you don't press them well from the keeper. But the problem that we're also having is the amount of space in midfield, and teams are able to run through us, but we're struggling, I think, to get to the ball in settle play. And that to me feels like a bit of a problem with the system, in the same way that the ball progression is if you've got 5 at the back. It's the same with your body short in midfield also. And how do you disturb the opposition, especially maybe against the better teams will just play a bit deeper. But how do we get in amongst the other teams to try and... Because even against Burnley we found was they got the ball into midfield quite a lot of the time. They would get to our penalty area and further because we weren't able to disrupt them in the middle of the pitch.
So we've got the international break, and then coming up after that is City. We've also got Chelsea, Spurs. There aren't too many easy gimmies in that one. There's Sunderland, maybe, is the one where we should be able to bully them. But we've got an awful lot of tough games in there. What does that look like? And Sunderland have bought well this summer as well.
And they're physical and they're young. They'll run all day. Sunderland will be a difficult game.
So there is going to be pressure on Amorim straight away. He's got no bank of credit. How's he going to set up in that first game against City? City, we've seen, are imperfect too. Pep has switched between 3 at the back and 4 at the back in every single game so far. Keeps changing it around, as he likes to do. Galaxy braining this shit. How do we go about this tough run of games? Because Amorim can't afford 5 defeats in the next 8.
It seems to... I think Amorim's had Pep's number for a couple of years now. I think approach it the same way. I would anyway. City are also pressing as well. I don't know if you've seen this, but they press Brighton as well. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look good, which is great. Look, that's how Man United can punch holes through teams, is when they actually press them high up the pitch. They're pressing them with Haaland up the pitch, Reinders, Cherky. So I would say just keep going and do the same thing and approach the game with confidence.
And I think it's going to depend a little on who's available also, isn't it? I mean, my sense is that if Mount and Cunha were to be fit, Sesko probably isn't playing. I'm not sure I want that, because I think against City particularly, their defence so high that I want someone on their centre-backs, because I don't think their centre-backs are good. And I think it's in Amorim's nature probably to be a bit circumspect in general. He's not a cavalier. So I'd expect, like, it seems unlikely, for example, we're going to see Ahmad at wing-back in that one.
No, I think we'll see Dalot, and probably if Mount and Cunha are fit, a false nine type system. He's done that a few times now.
Yeah.
I mean, with the famous win that Sporting had over City, I think they had something like 27%, and they went very, very direct early into Gyökeres, and it worked. I mean, they got some very cheap goals as a result. Yeah, it's a challenging time, I think, for Amorim. We're going to spend the next few months up until the winter, assuming he lasts that long, talking about the midfield and our gaps there and the lack of balance. We'll see if he tries something different. It definitely won't be a system change, but does he try different combinations in midfield to get any kind of control in there?
Also, it's also about defenders as well, I think. Like, do we know when Martinez is back?
It was supposed to be January, yeah. I mean, it's February, so it's an awful long injury. Yeah,
when because he got it just after
February.
Fulham, yeah. So literally a whole 12 months.
There's a lot of competition for centre-back places, but he does seem to like a centre-back change late on in the game. He did it against...
Sometimes two.
He did it. He did it against Burnley again. Who was it that came on? I'm missing now.
It was
Maguire. No, he's
Mazraoui.
No, he's vexed with Heavens.
Mazraoui came on
Grimsby,
with 5 minutes to go. Yeah, and he changed both. He changed 2 of them against Grimsby.
I guess if Mazraoui's fit, I'd be tempted to play him at right wing back, perhaps.
I'd agree. Yeah,
just
to take care of what's his face,
Marmouche.
Just also because he's just a bit more secure on the ball. Mm-hmm. He's a good footballer. Like, if Mazraoui was a proper athlete, he'd be a brilliant wing back. The problem with Mazraoui isn't technical ability, and it's not football intelligence either. It's that he just lacks a bit of physicality to get up and down at wing back.
He does.
You're saying he should go to the gym more?
He should.
You're saying he's a great footballer, just needs to go to the gym a bit. That's all.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough position for him, I think, doing two in one. It's a really hard one for all of United's wing backs. All right, I think that's it. A little bit different against Burnley. I think we understand what we're getting from Amorim. There's some definite weaknesses there. I think every analyst in the Premier League will be picking apart those weaknesses from United and trying to exploit them. Fulham were all full of themselves about how they exploited United's weakness. It didn't really, but they were making stuff up. But it is the thing, right? Get behind United's midfielders.
But look at Liverpool, right? It's so easy to pick the holes in that team, right?
Yeah.
The top of the league with 3 wins from 3. Like, being able to pick the weaknesses and being able to exploit the weaknesses and not get fucked up by the strengths. So you're looking to exploit the weaknesses leaves available. Those are different things.
They are different, yeah.
And if teams want to pile into United with what United have in attack, then it might work, but they might also find themselves in trouble because United are going to score goals, I think, this season.
All right, well, barring a very last minute bid for Carlos Baleba late in the window, we are going into this with not much in midfield, some strength up front. We'll see about the defence. They have the capacity to fuck it up quite frequently, and hopefully, touch wood, a better keeper. We'll see. Chaps, Daniel, Dharnish.
Definitely a better goalkeeper.
It can't be worse.
Possible. Only because it's not possible to get worse.
Don't touch any wood. You don't need to touch any wood.
No, but a better goalkeeper.
Very good. Oh. Let's see whether Flappy Senna Lamans flaps at one against City and chucks it in. He's good at saving penalties, yeah. All right, bye, chaps.
Ta-ra.
Thank you, everyone.